Let's begin by settling the body, adopting a stable, comfortable, upright position serviceable for meditation. So we think about keeping our feet flat and our back straight, torso open, hands in the lap, right over left, with the palms upturned and the thumbs gently touching. Our eyes are gently closed or slightly open, making sure we let in enough light to remain alert. We try to maintain an awareness of not slouching, not leaning, but we also let go of any unnecessary tension or rigidity in the body, relaxing into a stable, comfortable, upright position, just allowing the body to fall into place. And we begin to let go of attending to the external world, allowing sights and sounds to be as they are without investigation, constraining our awareness just to the body and mind, beginning to concentrate that awareness in the present by attending closely to the physical sensation of the air as it moves into and back out of the tip of the nostrils, giving ourselves the instruction to notice quickly when anything other than that one physical sensation is arising in the mind, and then without judgment or frustration, to lift our awareness up from those distractions and place it gently but firmly again and again on the breath. And then when the mind feels more Calm will generate a broad, altruistic motivation for our time. Getting in touch with the reality that, just like oneself, every other sentient being, from morning until night and even in their dreams, is deeply motivated to avoid even the slightest suffering and is motivated to chase after even the slightest pleasant experience. And yet, every sentient being, just like oneself, finds that they again and again meet with obstacles, with difficulties, that they're never truly satisfied. And in the pursuit of genuine, lasting happiness, complete eradication of suffering, every sentient being is equal in their claim in being successful in that goal. In order to achieve that goal, sentient beings must achieve the state of enlightenment. In order to help sentient beings achieve that goal, oneself must first achieve enlightenment. One must gain the tools, the ability, the capacity to be of real benefit to sentient beings. When we look out into the world and we see that suffering, when we see the hopes and dreams that are unrealized, and we think of how to respond, but ultimately being able to lead all sentient beings to that state. It's the best way of being able to respond. And so we spend this time developing our mind, establishing deep familiarity with constructive states of mind that ultimately will create the causes and conditions for that enlightenment. And then with that motivation, we will contemplate the final verse of the 8 verses, which is, may these practices be undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by perceiving all phenomena as illusory, may I be released from the bondage of attachment. May these practices be undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by perceiving all phenomena as illusory, may I be released from the bondage of attachment. We begin by reflecting on the essence of these practices in these 8 verses, the essence of which is overcoming the unhealthy preoccupation with our own desires, our own interests, trying to make our lives work out only for our own benefit. But even these attempts, even these seemingly spiritual practices, can be negatively influenced if we are engaging in them for the purposes of wanting recognition, wanting to be of higher status, wanting to be praised, looking for financial gain. If we have these thoughts, these motivations for our spiritual practice, then they don't really become beneficial. It's just one more thing in service to the 8 worldly concerns. So try to think back in your own life. Or are there times when these thoughts have entered into your mind, when you were hoping to be seen as a good practitioner, and you were hoping to be recognized, hoping to be praised? And if we do recognize that there are times when we catch ourselves hoping for praise, being afraid of criticism, when we're hoping for higher status, or we become afraid of people considering us to be of lower status, when we're hoping for financial gain or we are afraid of financial loss as the result of our commitment, our interest in practice, then we should rejoice and think that we have identified how the self-cherishing mind is influencing our practice. And then bring to mind the impermanent nature of all of those worldly benefits. Whether we are praised or criticized, whether we are of higher status or lower status, whether we have financial gain or financial loss, whether we are comfortable or uncomfortable, those are all temporary states. The deep, abiding familiarity in the mind that comes from these practices, that remains. We carry that with us into the future. Try to cultivate an attitude that discards those temporary states, one that is focused singularly on the enduring benefit of the practice itself. And then the second half of the verse introduces the training in seeing all phenomena as like illusions. So often as we go about our day and we interact with other people, objects, we fall into the habit of seeing them as completely separate from that process of perceiving them. We give them a status, a solidity, independent, thinking that everything that we perceive, that we believe about what we are interacting with is truly how that external phenomena, whether animate or inanimate, how it truly exists. We leave no space for the active cognition to be an active process, thinking of it as a passive process. And that is the mistake that we make, not recognizing how active of a process it is. Though things outside of oneself do exist, but they don't exist in exactly the way that we believe them to exist. They lack that solidity, that sense that we have of them as not in any way depending on anything. And so we cling, we grasp tightly onto that appearance of solidity, thinking that the object is broadcasting some essence, some nature, and that we passively receive that broadcast. And the Buddha says, no, we actively create our perception. And think that everything that we perceive is not fixed and static, independent. It's constantly changing. And it depends upon our actively labeling it based on our culture, our history, our experiences. And this drives this process of getting wrapped up in the world of appearance. And something seems pleasant, it seems pleasant, independent of oneself. When something seems unpleasant, it seems unpleasant, independent of oneself. And so we feel we have no choice but to collect what is pleasant and to reject what is unpleasant, to push and to pull. We give up our freedom to change how we perceive, and try to adopt an attitude that questions that solidity, that investigates, that examines. Be determined to understand more about the nature of things, to not be content with the world of appearance. Then, when you're ready, we'll come back together and we'll dedicate to recollect your altruistic motivation and think that by having engaged in this contemplation, you've actualized that motivation, which has generated positive energy in the mind, and think that you freely offer the fruit of your practice, that positive energy for the benefit of all sentient beings without exception. Thinking strongly when this positive energy ripens, may it serve as a cause and condition to eliminate war and conflict, poverty, famine, disease, disasters, all painful inner and outer conditions. May it fully ripen the minds of all sentient beings. May they quickly meet perfect teachers and arise in the state of full enlightenment. May I too achieve the state of enlightenment so that I might work for the benefit of sentient beings perfectly. May any obstacles facing the Guru's long life be completely dispelled, and may I and all sentient beings in this moment come under the joyful care and guidance of enlightened beings. May we be guided and protected until we swiftly achieve that state of enlightenment. You